to you all. This presentation is part of two presentations. We have combined two presentations in one single Spark. So I will be presenting on weather index insurance, and Keertha will be presenting on the health factor insurance. So what I am going to present is a weather index insurance product which we have been piloting in Madhya Pradesh, and it's a very unique product in the sense that we have tried to innovate in terms of the scale of the product, the flexibility with which a farmer can actually access the product at a very minimal price point, and providing a choice among various options so that he can select the best suited option for him. So as we look into the various factors which affect a farmer or his household, it's like especially small and marginal farmers, they are very much affected by weather shocks. Weather shocks, if you look at the Indian farming community, about 90% of the people get affected by some or other time by the weather shock. Also, there are not very efficient mechanisms to transfer these kind of risks into a common risk sharing system. So what happens is that there is a negative impact on their investment decisions, and also it brings volatility into their income and consumption. So some years they have very good crop, so they invest a lot. Next year the crop is very poor, so that brings a lot of challenges for them in terms of maintaining normal consumption and doing all sort of household chores. And in order to address this kind of risk transfer, weather index insurance has been one of the innovations in the past 10 years, wherein weather index based products have been used as a mechanism for those farmers so that they can actually pass on their risk to the formal risk sharing mechanism system. Now, the research problem which we are focusing in this presentation is that we are proposing a new weather security, which is kind of a weather index based product, but it has both insurance and derivative features in it. The option is that a farmer has multiple weather securities to choose from, and these are very simple and flexible securities. Now, this presentation is, the project is already ongoing. So this presentation will talk largely about the impact of three interventions on uptake of these securities by the farmers in the last crop season, which was from July to October last year, 2011. So the three interventions are price discounts. We offered some discounts on the whatever actual premium was there. Then we provided insurance literacy training to all our sample size that we'll talk later on. It was about say 2 hours of training. And we also established few weather stations around the villages so that these weather forecasts can be operated based on those weather stations. Now, the weather securities are the main innovations of this project, that we are not offering the weather securities as a traditional weather insurance contract which covers the whole of the crop cycle. Here what we try to do is we break the crop cycle into various stages and also the risk into various options, so that if a farmer is say willing to insure only high risk thing, that he wants to pay a very small premium and to cover only the risk which he thinks would be of very high magnitude to him, then he will have a different security. If I am a farmer, I am willing to pay a higher premium, I cover that risk, so which is having a moderate quantity of risk, high probability of chances, so I will pay more premium and I cover myself to a greater extent. So in this case, the farmers have a choice between various contracts, and also the concept, as I told you, the concept combines elements of both insurance and derivative. So it is an insurance product, and because it is not directly linked to the crop but linked to the weather parameters, so it's derivative in that nature. So the basic concept of this weather security is that there are 2 points. So we have a rainfall index. Suppose the crop requires say 400 millimeter of rainfall in the whole cropping season. But if the crop, so the crop requires say 400 millimeter of rainfall for the whole of the cropping season, but it happens that if the rainfall is say more than 600 millimeters, then it is not beneficial for the crop, and there are crop losses. So what take this example is related to excess rainfall case. So there would be a exit limit for the total rainfall of the season. There would be a trigger value after which the insurance payout would start. So suppose 400 mm is the required rainfall for the season, and say 600 mm is excess of rainfall, after which the crop losses would be higher. So it can be designed that the trigger value will be close to 450 or 500, and beyond this limit of rainfall, the losses would be higher, and exit may be close to 600. It's like the limit after which the crop loss would be like 50% or 80% of the total rainfall. So in our case, what happens is that the farmer gets a flat payout once the trigger value is reached, say maybe 1000 rupees, and if the exit value is reached, he gets a much higher payout. So in our case, it was like if the farmer covers the whole of the crop cycle, I mean, we have divided into 3-4 phases. If he purchases for all the phases, he will be covering around say 16,000 value of crop per acre. So it would be like on an average, the soybean yield is about say 5 to 6 quintals per acre. So the total crop value from acre from each season is around 12 to 14,000. So he actually covers the whole amount in case of exit. But even if the trigger value is reached, he'll get close to around 5 or 6,000 rupees per acre. So that would be sufficient for him to keep continuing in the business. Now here I would like to compare with our weather security with a traditional contract. So what I try to keep the thing is that both the periods are almost same, and you can see that even the parameters of the insurance, from where the insurance payout happens, are almost same in both cases. So what's the difference that I talk to you? The issue is that here also both these contracts are about deficit of rainfall. So rainfall goes beyond certain limit, then the crop starts facing some losses. So the strike is like 280 millimeters. It means that if the rainfall goes below 280 millimeters for that period of the crop cycle, then the farmer will start getting a payout. In the traditional crop also, traditional insurance also, it happens the same. The strikes are in the similar manner, strike 1, strike 2, and exit is the point after which the farmer gets a much larger payout. So in a traditional contract, what happens is that if the strike is say 260 millimeters, the farmer will get a payout of 6.25, that is the notional amount which he gets for per millimeter loss of rainfall. So 6.25 into 10, so it would be only 62 millimeters, 62 rupees. But if in our contract, if it goes even 279, we will get a payout of 1000 rupees. In this case, if the rainfall goes below 30 millimeter for the whole period, then only he get a total amount of 5,000 rupees. I mean, I have converted this for the acre because our product is in acres, so we are also keeping this into acres. Here it's coming to 2,000 rupees per acre. If it goes below 50 millimeter, in our case, if it's going below 130 millimeter, the farmer will get a payout of 4,000 rupees per acre. So this contract has been designed in such a manner that it brings much more value to the farmer. It's much easier for him to understand that he has to understand that if the rainfall is below 20 millimeter, I am getting a sufficient payout. It's not that if the rainfall is beyond this limit, I have to start calculating that for per millimeter of loss, there is notional payout of 6 rupees. So if I have a loss of 50 millimeters, I get 6 into 50, 300 rupees. So in a way, we have tried to make it like bit simpler for the farmer to understand, and even keep the values more comprehensive so that the return which he gets out of the contract is much better for him. Now, the next slide shows that how the payout would be for a farmer from the weather security. In this case, when the trigger value of 130 millimeter reaches, 280 millimeter reaches, the farmer will get a shorter payout, and if the exit value of 130 millimeter is reached, he will get a much higher payout of 4,000 rupees. Now, in case of a traditional product, what will happen? After 270 millimeter, the payout would start increasing. Then when he reaches a threshold of say 90 millimeter, then again the payout will start increasing in a much exponential manner. So the farmers, if they have a rainfall deficit in around this range, the amount of claim or the compensation they will be getting will be much lower than what we are offering in the business security. Now I'll talk about the project details little bit. So it's
only basically when Weather Insurance India started, they started with products similar to this.
Yes.
And then we slowly design products which have a better relation to crop yield than.
No, but even at the beginning of the
Weather Insurance contract or something like this.
But even in that case, the farmer had no choice to select between the crop ranges. He had to select for the whole crop.
Right.
He had to select for the whole crop. Here what we are offering is that he has the option. I want to insure only for the first phase of the crop. I don't insure for the first phase of the crop.
Right.
If I want to insure for the last phase of the crop, if I see that when my crop is ready for harvest, and I see some kind of risk at that point of time, I can only insure that portfolio. I do not need to insure for the whole of the 6 months. So that's the benefit to the farmer.
Which is there are multiple contracts, sir?
So I'll show the contracts. So the project is located in Madhya Pradesh, across 3 districts of Madhya Pradesh: Bhopal, Dewas and Ujjain. We are operating in 110 villages, out of which 72 are our treatment villages and 38 are our control villages. And we have sampled 30 households from each village, so we have a sample size of 3,300 households. At the start of the project, we did a listening exercise across all the households in the village. So we have covered close to 22,000 households in all the 110 villages to get a sense that what is the common demographics of the villages. From those 22,000 households, is trying to select in our sample those households which have a better probability which have a higher probability of purchase of such kind of products, because they are economically well off or they are literate, so that they can understand the integrities of such contracts. Now the 3 dimensions which we have in the area in the project are like one of the major issues with our weather insurance, weather index insurance market is that the weather station is located very far from the actual field of the farmers. So whatever rain is recorded at the weather station and then actual rain at the farm, there are variations. So farmers actually are very hesitant that whatever is the actual recording at the rainfall at the weather station is not actually happening at my field, so this contract is not actually meant for me. So that issue is called basis risk. It's like whatever we are insuring is actually not being insured totally. So to address this issue of availability of weather station very far from the farmer's field, we installed 3 weather stations in the project area to reduce the average distance of the villages from the existing weather stations. So we have actually reduced the distance of villages from the station for 28 villages and brought it from 15 kilometers to 5 kilometers. And there are 44 villages in the treatment which are still existing at 10 kilometer average distance from the weather stations, because they are around the older weather stations. Apart from that, the other intervention is insurance literacy training. So all the households, sample households from the treatment villages have been exposed to 2 hours of insurance literacy training. Apart from that, 35 villages we also provided additional 2 hours of training, so that they get a clear understanding of financial products, insurance products, and weather index insurance in particular. Then we offered price discounts from the whatever actual prices were there for the product. We offered discounts in the range of 0 to 60%. So on an average, 1/3 of households from each village were not offered any discount, and other 2/3 of the households were offered some discount, the range of 15% to 60%. We also tried to evaluate one thing, that we provided individual discounts, and in some of the villages we provided umbrella discount for the whole of the village. So what happened was that when we provided individual discount, so in the same village somebody is getting 60% discount, somebody is getting no discount. Then there were clashes among the farmers, that because you are coming for the same thing and you are providing different price points. So to overcome that concern, we actually expanded the project to some other area also, and we provided discount for the whole of the set in the village. So this is the normal characteristics of the sample. So if you look at the treatment area, 72 villages, so total of 2,183 households. So if you look at the characteristics, that in the sample we have kept those households which have much higher land holding and much higher schooling, because these are the people who are perceived to be much more educated and much more economically well off, and they have a high probability of purchase for this kind of product. Now these are the 3 phases in which we are providing the securities, and we have like all the securities. There are different trigger values, different prices, but the payouts are same, 1,000 or 4,000 for each security. And farmers are free to choose among all the whatever option they want. I mean, see, from 3 pages, whatever they want to choose, they can choose at least 2 options. So these are the 8 securities which we provided in one of the Dewas districts. So you can see that at the start of the crop phase, there are 2 options for each farmer. When the crop is under growth phase, each farmer has 4 options to choose from, and at the time of harvest also each farmer has the option to choose from either 2 of the contracts, and he can integrate all those and get a cover for the whole of the crop cycle. So actually this phase got triggered, I mean the farmers who had purchased this contract, they actually got payout in the last season because they traded much more than 700 millimeters. Now, when we come at look at the take-up overall, because we were targeting a sample of 2,200 households from 72 villages, the take-up was not that good. We had a take-up of only 300, take-up from 301 households, and out of those also, our sample, only 6. If you look at the total sample, only 6.8% of the households from the samples purchased the product. Now, if you look at this from the normal market practice, then even in the market, if somebody is offering a standalone product which is not sponsored by the government, then the take-up is close to 5%. So compared to that, we have performed better, but compared to our expectations, we are much below. Now, if you look at this is a statistic regression of the results, that on what variables the take-up is dependent. So we can see that all these, the discount offered distance to weather station, the installation of the additional weather stations, and additional training, all these have significant impact, and all these are significantly affecting the uptake of the product. Now, if you look at the major takeaways from this project, as of now, is that out of the 3 interventions, price discount is coming out to be the best option. If you look at the similar amount of difference in uptake, if you want to increase uptake by 5% through all the interventions, then price discount turns out to be the most effective compared to other 2, because people are much more people get much more attracted towards price discounts compared to other things. And it also comes out that with new weather station and additional training, it has helped in increasing the uptake by 5%. Whereas if you look at the intervention of price discount, if we provide a discount of say $2.5 and close to 120 rupees, the take-up can go up by 10%. So in a way, it's much more significant from our project point of view to concentrate on this thing. But we had all the 3 interventions, so we are evaluating all the 3 options. Apart from that, the other thing is that marketing efforts are very critical to reach out to the farmers, because insurance companies selectively go in the area. So there are few villages where you have good take up. There are villages where you have zero take up, because nobody from the insurance company went there. So marketing efforts are key to improving the uptake in the area. And even we saw that the districts where the marketing effort was good, uptake was very high. The district where marketing efforts were, not so good, there was actually no take up. In a way, that is very critical for success of this kind of product. Now I will invite Tirtha to the second part.
What about the training?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what is the impact on training?
Can we talk
After?
No, I think you can continue, right?
Okay. Yeah. So, you want to know about the contents or?
No, what I mean is the training. What are the influence of training on take-up?
So, if you look at additional training, okay, they are significant. So, all the three interventions are significantly impacting take-up. But, if you compare all the three among them, then price discounts turns out to be the better option compared to these two.
So right now what's happening in weather insurance is government is providing almost 25% subsidy on premium. Training from my personal experience, you go and sit to the farmers, talk to them, we discuss. So at one point, so they grow close to the person who is there on the field, and slowly their understanding goes better. So in, for example, I was there in Maharashtra. So they had really bad experience, and what happened is the data that they were being sent, the weather data, was different from the settlement station data.
Okay.
Right. So based on that data, they were getting a payout of almost 6,000, but on the actual IMD station, they got a payout of 4,000. They were very different. And being potato farmers, they had a very good. Most of them are like studied classes, some of them, and leaders are also there. They put down the numbers and they actually started calculating day by day. And then when I approached them, like, why you are not purchasing our products, they were like, you should get us. Then there was that kind of product. So the training that we have provided initially, it's sort of backfired.
Okay.
But in a way, it is actually very important.
It's very
because there
important,
are areas where people do not know what is insurance.
Yeah.
If you talk to farmers, because they have taken credit from the bank, they are insured. But if you go and ask them that are you insured, they will say no. Because they don't know even that they are being insured and the insurance premium is being debited from their account. The actual case in the field.
They do it just for the sake of
Yeah. So bank employees, they have to debit it because they have given the credit, so they have to insure that credit card. But that farmers are not at all aware about it. And even in case of various payout cases, there are like a rhythm total. There are many examples where the insurance company or even the weather station provider, they manipulate the data, and at the end the farmers are getting nothing. So that is something which is practice which happens. So in our case, the training, if we talk about the training part, so we had a training of say 4 hours. So in all the 72 villages, we provided a basic training of 2 hours. And out of those 72, we provided additional training within 35 villages. So, the output is that even this additional training of 2 hours is not impacting in uptake much. Compared to, say, the discount, if you provide a discount of $2.5, 120 rupees, the uptake is up by 10%. But even if you provide additional training of 2 hours, and cost of providing training is much more than the cost of providing discount. Because every time you take 2 guys to train the villagers, arrange for a training, it costs more than, you can say, 1,500 to 2,000 per village. So, from a market perspective, you say that these costs are much higher compared to the discount part. And if you look at the market condition, it's very distorted because government provides a subsidy of say 75%.
and later on we discuss.
So, if you are competing against any government product, then you stand no chance.
Hi. What I am going to speak on is addressing the low demand for preventive healthcare to the provision of free medical checkups in Kolkata hubs. Demand for preventive healthcare is generally low. Our field visits and literature also show the same. Like we found out in a few works done, in a few seminal papers, that some of the factors which actually influence demand for preventive healthcare is past and present social experience, access to education, underestimation of the benefits of preventive care, quality and availability of health services, self-perception of health, low information about health risk, liquidity constraints, etc. So, this is actually a preliminary work on a project which is currently ongoing in Kolkata. What we are doing there is we are partnering an NGO there in provision of a health microinsurance program. So the intervention which we are trying to impact the value of is a free medical checkup. Thing is, what happens is normally in health microinsurance, what we see is there are claimants, well and good they claim, but there are many non-claimants who at the end they find out that we paid some premium, but actually we didn't get anything out of it. So we were trying to see if we can add some value to a normal microinsurance health program by giving them something free. So that, because we realize that something even free, people become excited about it. So what we will do is, we are still currently going on, is a free wellness checkup was provided by a certified doctor to we randomize the population. To all the clients who enrolled for this program, we randomized into treatment and control. Everybody who fell into the treatment thing were given this free checkup. The program is run by an NGO, Calcutta Kids. They are very popular there in their catchment area. They have other programs going on, and one of their programs is the one which we are partnering them. The paper investigates the main drivers of the demand for preventive care. As I told you, the study is a part of a vaster health microinsurance program, and it is being conducted in Calcutta slums. And this actually started in 2009, and we are partnering Calcutta Kids. It provides various health-related services, including a micro-health insurance program covering expenses associated with inpatient care. They have, and free checkups are part of this. They have, in their other programs, they have programs for mother, young children, expectant mothers, the antenatal, postnatal care, and their health workers are extremely popular, and their role was what at the end we are still we are finding that out, and we are sure that we will get something out of it. The role that the health workers play, the popularity of the NGO in the catchment area really plays a very important role. The intervention, actually when the project started, it was different than what it is right now. Well, now we are providing free wellness checkups. When it actually started, what we were doing was we were giving them outpatient counseling services. Now what is an outpatient counseling service? Suppose a person, initially let's understand the first class, the entire sample is divided into treatment and control. Now in the treatment group, someone falls ill. He goes to a notified doctor, who is an empaneled one with the NGO. He goes to the doctor, he carries his card with him, the doctor notes down. And then health workers, the NGO health workers, they every day make it a point that to visit the doctor to find out if any enrolled client did actually go for a treatment. Now when the doctor says yes, they follow up. Like what happens is we all do it. We fall ill, we go to a doctor, take a day's medicine, we are fine, we forget about it. We don't really care about what the leftover medicines, what are we going to do with it. So this was the intervention we were trying to see if following up on a normal doctor's visit really helps. But there was a huge issue. Thing is, actually by design, the program was not everybody in the treatment group is getting this intervention. But only people, they have to fall in, and second, they have to be in the intervention, in the treatment group. Only then are they eligible for this treatment. So by design, we are shortening our sample size. Now that becomes very difficult for us to come to a conclusion. Statistical things, they don't fall in line with it. So what happened was another reason. Another was that when a person falls ill, carrying the insurance ID is the last thing they remember. So almost 100% of the cases, nobody remembers. So in 1 year, only 6 OPCS, outpatient counseling services cases came up. This is like extremely funny because actually many other people were ill and we know that. So then what happened, we changed the design of the intervention. We changed it to a free wellness checkup, which is given to everybody in the treatment group, so that A, by design we are not shortening our sample size, and B, nobody has to carry it. The NGO gives them invitations, gives them that, okay, you guys have to come within this 15-20 days. They turn up for this treatment, for this free checkup, and the doctor sees all the preliminary checkups, and yes, that is what. Through the service, the clients were invited or provided free checkups by a physician at the health center. Now, as I told you, the sample was randomized. Now, how did we randomize what were the cases? We did a stratified randomization. Now MICHI is the mother and child program which the NGO already has. OPCS program, which is our outpatient counseling service, which we initially had, but later had to stop. Or the micro health insurance, MHIP.
Why did they?
Because of the sample size,
6 people turned up.
yeah, outpatient counseling. So these three conditions were considered as a criteria, and the population was divided. In sample was divided into 2 groups: the treatment and control. And everybody, like this was the total. Now this is a study which is going on. We have in total 3 phases, 3 waves in our study, but we have data for only 2 waves as of now. So the total people who enrolled were 189. The total population who enrolled were 189. Wave 2 is 275. Total is this. Now sample invited, actually these are the number of people who fell into the treatment group, and hence were given the invitation. The 296 people were invited. Out of them, attendance was, you can see in the first wave, 65% of the people they actually turned up. But sadly, in the second wave, only around 5% of people turned up. Now why? Why was this? This is one was because of the timing. Thing is, when the second wave was done, it was during the puja time, Dashera time. Now Dashera is a big festival in Calcutta, and most of the people they left the city for their hometowns. Actually, the population there is all migrant population from Bihar, UP, and other places, other nearby states. So they all went to their places. That was one reason that actually very less slum dwellers were there then. Second was due to the NGO had some compulsions, and they had actually sent the health workers for giving these invitations in phase 1, but they couldn't send the health workers in the phase 2. What they sent, whom they sent the manager of the project, who is the person higher above in the hierarchy. Now what happens is the slum dwellers, the health workers, they are so popular with the slum dwellers that they respect and listen to them far more. Then suddenly if a person whom they see, but then they know that he is not a person who will be in regular touch with them. So this is another reason which can be a potential reason of why the attendance was low. Now, the model which we estimated was attendance. We regressed it as on income, male, religion, education. Male is dummy, income is the primary and secondary income, religion is dummy, education is a dummy. Consult is whether the people they were ill before the invitation. As in, suppose people are invited for free checkups. Now, some people are already ill, so they have already consulted a doctor a month or 15 days prior to the invitation. So, if that was the case, that consult is a dummy, then ill again, if the person was ill and consult is an interaction term between these two, that if the person was ill and did consult a doctor, DPR is the person of DPR holder. CK contact is if the people they have had prior contact with CK, like they are MICHI, MICHI beneficiaries, or they have had OPCS counseling sessions with the health workers, etc. So this is the model which we request. And the results was, we didn't find anything very different. What we expected was education should matter, and it came out to be a strong predictor. Past illness came out to be a very strong predictor. So now this is very funny because we are trying to find out preventive care, and parts illness if a person comes, it means curative care. So so this was an issue, but this came out to be a strong predictor nonetheless. Then the interaction between illness and consultation also played an important role. So as people who are weekly beneficiaries, they were more likely to attend. They were actually more significantly attending more these checkups. Attendance was also significantly higher for households subscribing the insurance scheme through categories for the first time. Like as in people who were renewing were less enthusiastic rather than people who were in new enrollments. Females were more likely, but this was not significant. So this is the result of this study, but it is still incomplete. We don't have data, and the project is still going on. So the results, although they fall in line with what we expect, but still it has to be taken with caution.